What is happening, everybody? Today, we are adding to our educational series on blade steel, and more specifically today, we're going to be talking about AEB-L steel. Now, this is a series where we talk about the origins, properties, makeup, pros and cons of different blade steels, and with there being so many of them out there, it can sometimes seem a little overwhelming. And so that's why we're here, to make sure that you are armed with the knowledge that you need so that you can make a better informed decision on what blade steel you want on your next knife. Now, before we get started though, if you like this video, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you will know when we tell you about blade steels and which ones are the best. Now, without further ado, light it up. So, AEB-L steel is not widely used, especially in production knives. It is used quite a bit in custom knives and by custom knife makers. But as far as production knives goes, it's not as popular. And its history was a little bit difficult to track down. I will say, thank goodness for Larry Thomas and KnifeSteelNerds.com because the information there is amazing, and he does an incredible job. And I implore you that if you're ever looking for information on knife steel, and you want to do some reading on it, check out KnifeSteelNerds.com. Absolutely a wonderful resource. Now, it's difficult to nail down the specifics, and regardless, it is a very early stainless steel, historically speaking. Now, Uddeholm, which you probably have heard of in conjunction with Böhler, as those two companies merged in 1991 to form Böhler-Uddeholm. Now, before that, they were two separate companies, but they merged together in 1991 to form Böhler-Uddeholm. And they claim that they patented AEB-L in 1928, but it's not quite that simple. So, Uddeholm did patent a stainless steel in 1928 named AEB, and later changed it to AEB-H to denote the difference between it and AEB-L. Now, at the time, the original Brearley and Haynes stainless steel patents were still on the books, so to speak. So Uddeholm upped the carbon content to get around any sort of infringement. So what they did basically was they added a little bit of carbon content to make the composition slightly different so that they didn't infringe upon the patents that Brearley and Haynes already had on the books. But those patents were set to eventually run out. Comparatively, AEB-H had a much larger carbide structure due to its composition of 1% carbon as opposed to between 0.6 and 0.75 and 13.5% chromium. Now, this iteration, along with one other from Uddeholm, was used in some of the first stainless razors on the market from Wilkinson Sword in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Now, it's hard to tell exactly when AEB-L, if I could talk, came into the picture, but, you know, it seems like it was somewhere around the mid-1960s. And its makeup was much more similar to that of the original stainless patents, with a carbon content between 0.65 to 0.7%. And what this actually did was created a definitively finer carbide structure. And what that means is it makes it a lot tougher of a steel. So when those carbides are a lot more fine, it means that it's not the carbide structure is not going to have these big patches in it, so that it's a lot more fine. It's also a lot more dense that way. Now, this attribute made it capable of higher sharpness as well as hardness. It also shares many similarities with 12C27 along with 13C26. Being essentially the same. There are a few minor, and I mean minor differences, and most people say that 13C26 is going to be basically identical to AEB-L. All of these steels have been used for quite a while in Europe due to their ease of like actually making blanks out of it, and due to them being easier to work with. So this is prior to powdered steels coming along and actually being used a lot. So when it comes to making these blades, it was a lot easier, especially for companies in Europe, to use these because they were easy to make blanks out of. But they weren't widely advertised. And it was used by various custom knife makers in the 1990s. Prior to that, it had kind of fell into obscurity. But it seems like due to a lack of knowledge, it had a hard time catching on. Now, 13C26, on the other hand, after being used in the early 2000s to mid 2000s by several different companies as a production knife steel, eventually led to the development of 14C28N. And as far as AEB-L is concerned, and we've talked about this before, knife steel is all a game of balance and sacrifice. The perfect steel doesn't exist. You're never going to find that. Where you gain in one attribute when it comes to blade steels, you're going to have to sacrifice in another. However, AEB-L is a very expertly designed steel, and it has an incredible balance of attributes in and of itself. With its low amount of tiny carbides, it beats most other blade steels in toughness. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anything out there that's tougher than AEB-L. But in doing so, it does give up some ground in edge retention. Even so, this deficit can be overcome by tricking the, composition with geometry. So essentially what that means is it has a higher toughness. So if you use AEB-L in something with very thin, acute edges, make it more slicey, in relation to the more wear-resistant steels, its toughness actually helps it outperform those with better edge retention. So if you give it a thinner blade and work that geometry to your advantage, then it can actually outperform other steels with better edge retention simply because of the geometry and the toughness that it already has. Now, it also has a relatively low cost compared to the powdered steels of today, and it's much more friendly to work with for a lot of knife makers, making this a phenomenal choice for especially custom knife makers and semi-custom knife makers. Now, if you watched our interview with LT Wright, we talked about his choice on steel and why he loves using things like AEB-L and A2. AEB-L especially because it's easy to see with the positives that it possesses. Now, you'll not only find this steel in knives from LT Wright, but also Chris Weatherford, Weatherford Knives. Smith & Sons uses AEB-L as well as one that you might not expect, and that's Squid Industries with their balisongs. And it is a particularly good blade steel to use in balisongs like that, especially if you're going to be flipping them a lot, if you're learning or something like that, and you're going to be dropping them. Something with that kind of toughness is definitely going to come in handy. Now, it's easy to see that this is an amazing steel with incredible properties. And, I've actually got an example right here of a great knife. And this one is an LT Wright knife. This is our exclusive, the Bandit right here. And this one's in AEB-L. We're going to throw in some B-roll showing it up close right there. And this thing is fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful. It comes with a nice 90-degree spine, amazing micarta handles, comes with the lanyard as well as the leather sheath right there. And just an absolutely beautiful, very comfortable, and very affordable knife from an amazing knife maker. Not only a great guy, but an incredible knife maker himself. And I mean, that's just a great example. Now, like I said, not only are you going to find it from him, but you're also going to find it from other manufacturers like Weatherford, Smith and Sons, and the like. So, as you can see, I mean, this is a phenomenal blade steel, and it has amazing properties. Now, will it work for you? I don't know. That's up to you. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of AEB-L, and especially if you have a knife in AEB-L. Let us know how it performs for you. Let us know how that knife steel in particular works for you. And let us know what you found about it, how you found it sharpens up, how you found that it performs for you. As always, folks, it's been me, TC, here with Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And remember, if it cuts like AEB-L, then we carry it. AEB-L steel. Yeah. Because we're going to tell you about it right meow.